Food and weight obsession can be exhausting. Losing weight, gaining weight, dieting, feeling like a failure because you missed a workout, binged, overate, or gained all the weight back. The cycle is endless and it can be maddening. But I'm here to say you can stop the mental madness. You can take back control of your food behaviors, but you have to face your fears, you have to ask for help, and make a change. I am Leslie M. Thornton, permanent weight loss coach from hpwl.co. This is Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, and I know you can make this happen. On this podcast, you will hear how to stop the mental madness, love your body, trust your food decisions so you can create a life of happiness, freedom, and inner peace. Hello, Leslie M. Thornton, Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss. Today, we have Dr. Tarryn McCarthy with us. Dr. McCarthy and I had an awesome conversation last summer, and I'm super excited to have you with us and to share with our audience. We had like a beautiful consciousness conversation. She's also certified in NLP and all the things. And I'm going to read her formal bio out, but first I'll say hello and welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, I'm so excited. Just really been looking forward to this conversation. Thank you, Leslie.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So, all right. So Dr. Tarryn McCarthy is the transformational mindset and happiness coach for medical and dental professionals, rapid transformational therapist, host of the Business of Happiness podcast, orthodontist, author, and speaker. She coaches on nervous system regulation, perfect for our audience, stress, and inner fulfillment. Yes. In her unparalleled program, Radical Happiness for Practitioners, she teaches how to harness the power within, and that when you feel good, you can do good. Awesome. Welcome. Thanks for being here again.
So honored. Thank you, Leslie.
As we were getting ready for this podcast, my computer was being slow, and usually we air this live in our Facebook community. And I had mentioned that I was getting the circle of death as my computer was thinking about 100 things at the same time. And Dr. McCarthy was talking about how we should talk about that as a starter, that the universe is giving us a sign about our minds overthinking and being in overdrive all the time and making us feel like maybe we're living inside the circle of death when we're feeling anxious and stressed out. And how do you help your clients with that? Let's start there.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's such a beautiful, I'm so glad that happened, by the way, because it's such a real experience for so many of us. You know, when you just have all the tabs open on your screen, you've got things you don't want to forget, this conversation you're in the middle of, you're trying not to hold everything in your own brain, so you're keeping it on your screen, and you've got 100 folders. I know we all have experience with this. And then the computer just really becomes sluggish and murky, and things just really are hard to do. And what a beautiful analogy for what we experience in our own lives. When we're running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, doing all the things, being all the things to all the people in our world, trying to be 100% of everything in every space. And what happens? We start to see in our lived experience this frustration because nothing seems to be moving forward, right? The needle isn't moving. And I know that, especially with you and your clients with weight loss, that can feel very real too. I'm doing all the things, but what's wrong? I'm doing everything right. I'm eating right. I'm exercising. I'm, also being present for my family. I'm also holding up a job. I'm also, and that needle just doesn't budge. So thank you, universe, for bringing us that
100%. Yeah.
Beautiful
and I love
analogy.
Yes, I heard there's scientific research on the fact that if we're focusing on one thing at a time, we're actually happier. And especially as women, our brains are amazing and we have the ability to think about 100 things at the same time. We're process oriented. That's the way, back in whatever days, and we had to, watch all the kids as our, husbands were out hunting for food. It's like we needed to be able to process multiple things at the same time. And we're not as happy when we're trying to focus on all those things at the same time. And things don't work well that way.
No, things don't
And
work well. And
mhm,
I love that you bring that up because we are wired to be able to tolerate all of that. But once again, our minds are not here to help us thrive or experience joy and happiness. Our minds are just here to keep us alive. That's
yeah.
it. It's a very different concept that we are capable of multitasking and it can keep us alive. But is that the enjoyable life we want to lead? Is that actually being alive in our definition of enjoyment, thriving, happiness, experiencing fulfillment in this experience on
Mm,
earth?
absolutely. I've been doing so much just, I don't know, whatever, personal development that I'm always doing. But one thing that I became present to recently was how much we and myself was missing out on the peripheral beautiful things that were like
Mm,
the synchronistic things that are going
mm,
on constantly just in the here
mm,
and now.
mm,
And it's like it's an amazing gift that we as, women are able to do 100 things at once and be productive and, do. And like what everybody is striving for and seeking exists in the here and now.
mm,
And but if we're not present to what's going on outside of our brains that are just focused on whatever it is that we're trying to get done or achieve, then we're like really we're missing out on the fact that it's right here and it's all beautiful and it's all connected and
yeah.
the thinking and the overthinking and the overanalyzing like my computer was just doing just really prevents us from being able to pay attention to our feelings, right? I love how in your bio you talk about how, and it's true for women, when we do good, we feel good,
Mhm,
or when we feel good, we do good, pardon me. Right. So, but if our thoughts are blocking our ability to feel, which is why my
mhm,
clients have issues with food stuff, because they're thinking all the time, doing all the right things, but they have no access to feeling. And so they're using food as a way to numb out or to
mhm,
maybe get in their body and feel.
mhm,
Um, but first we got to deal with the thoughts, deal with the thinking, support you in seeing outside of that foveal vision.
mhm.
And that's when I've had clients say, like, have the trees always been this green?
Right. The colors seem richer. The
Mhm.
music seems sweeter. And sometimes when we're living outside of awareness, which is what we're talking about, becoming aware, right? Because we live in this um, almost a hypnotic state, if you will, that
Mhm.
we're not even aware we're living in. You get up, you drink your coffee, you go to work, you go to the next thing, you rush home, you make dinner, you have a glass of wine, you go to bed, and you get up, and it's like this rote hypnotic state that is what I'll call unaware. And we have these moments of awareness, even if we're not practicing them. And when those moments of awareness happen, are maybe at a funeral or at a beach or on a mountaintop. You just went for a hike and now you're at the mountain. And those moments, or it may be sometimes in the shower, a moment where suddenly things gain perspective. You have this greater insight of, oh, wow, that little problem that I made feel so big. That molehill I made a mountain out of is really insignificant. And you get this kind of eagle eye view of the world, this 30,000-foot view of this is all so insignificant and nothing's really that big and important. And what's so precious about those moments, that funeral moment, that moment on the beach, the moment on the mountaintop, the common denominator of all of those are two very simple components, and that is slowing down and giving yourself permission to be aware. That's it. It's just those two things, giving yourself permission to have a perspective beyond what feels so real, what feels so hard. And that little equation of slowing down, right, being blocking out all the noise, right, that's what is required of you when you go to a funeral. Like, no, I've got to be really present in this moment, and then being open to new perspective. That little equation is available to us at any moment. We don't have to wait for a funeral. We don't have to wait for that vacation at a beach on a mountaintop. We can actually experience it at any moment in the day, but it takes a conscious decision and a choice to do so.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah. Recently, I was just asked, I do some volunteer work for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society,
Mm.
and it's the student visionaries component. So it's high school students, and they're empowered to raise money, and they get really good, like entrepreneurial and like,
Mm.
fundraising skills as the result of going out into the community and running these events. And it's really, I love it.
Oh,
I
so
love it.
cool.
So like, it's going to change their life forever. Anyway, so we were asked to, as the leaders of this community, to do a presentation where we talk about what's like the one thing that you've done in your life that's made such a difference that's going to impact these students' lives, and
Mm.
there's a certain type of presentation. I don't know if anyone or you have heard about it, but it's like a certain amount of slides, and each slide you only spend like 16 seconds per slide, and then the whole presentation is 6 minutes or something. I don't know what it is. That math probably does not add up, but anyway, just think it's awesome, and I can't wait to see all the other presenters, like what is their, and a thing for me has been, and it's been scary, right? Because obviously, and I know that your story, and hopefully we'll get a chance to maybe delve into it next on, you had all the things. You had the
Mm.
family, you had the dogs, you had the kids, you had the husband, you had the career, you had all the things, and you just like wanted to abandon it all. You abandoned a lot of it. Um, and that a similar thing happened to me. It was just like, just honoring. So what I want to present to these kids is like the fact that I have led with my desires.
Mm.
So, getting quiet within myself, like you're saying, it requires us to slow down and actually ask those questions. Cause like you may have built this whole thing, like you may have built this whole dream or your whole life. And right. Cause this overwhelm and being out of alignment, right.
Yes.
Can create the weight gain. It can create the unhealthy habits. It does. And we blame, the habits and we start the whole tape of being hard on ourselves and being
Mhm.
critical. And, what if you slow down and actually ask yourself, like, well, am I happy? And if not, what actually would make me happy? And, for years and years now, it's been listening to that inner intuition, which if
Yep.
I never did the transformation work to learn how to get clear on what that is, right? I was just doing it this morning,
Mm.
right? And like, and even, with the business and whatever, there's constant needing to look within and ask, like, well, what is this about now? Like, if we're not getting the same results we used to get before or whatever. And it's like, and then it's easy to compare yourself. And this can be for body image too, like compare yourself with other bodies and compare. But it's like, if I'm actually honest with myself, right? And for anyone listening, it's like, if you're actually honest with yourself, like, what is this chapter of your life actually about? Like, what do you
Mhm.
actually want to create at this point in time? Um, and just over the summer, or maybe it was last spring, um, my coach had pointed out to me of like, everything in your communication points to the fact that you're just really, truly desiring spaciousness.
Mm.
And that was interesting, but I couldn't deny that.
Mm.
It had been like, and I was putting it in the future of saying, like, well, once I'm married and once I have kids, then I'll be able to have this like luxurious. And she was like, it's only going to get harder and you're only going to have less time. If you want to do that, like, you probably, and I was like, she's right.
Yeah.
So I said yes to spaciousness because that was it. And I watched like everything fall apart, right? Like everything
Yes.
disassembled itself because I was no longer manifesting this like robust schedule and whatever, right? Which brought up other fears, whatever. But, saying yes to the desires over and over again, right? And now I have a new one, right? But I couldn't have gotten to the next new one, right? And like, how can we trust that whatever that is in each section is actually, and it continues to lead me to getting healthier, to have,
Yes.
to being happier, and there, and energy can change, and then it can be in the next moment. I have a friend right now who, she's on her way right now to Mexico, where there are 1,000 Buddhists coming together for the next several days to do chanting and Buddhist everything and whatever together.
Oh,
This one like
delicious.
absolutely amazing experience. And she's been in a space of spaciousness for probably a year or two. She moved back to Florida where she was from to take care of her mom, who just passed away of cancer. And inquired the inheritance and like still has this job, which was very cushy and like and she was like, but now she's getting this download of like, I am being called again to go back in service, and she's like, so
Mm.
she's in that, so it's just like, but you have to trust everything, but it requires a courage, a bravery, right? To actually say yes to it and honor and not push away what's true. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear what's coming up for you in that, or if your story goes into it.
Yeah, what I love most about what you were just talking about is this concept of surrendering and trust. And when we
Yes.
hold on to what we feel like it's so real, we lose that capacity to surrender. And in the surrendering is the power, which sounds so antithetical to what we've always thought, right? I have this cup. When I hold on to the cup, I keep the cup, right? This is my cup, and if I hold on really tight, I'm going to really keep it. And then we don't realize if I squeeze tight enough, it's going to break. Then I don't have it anymore.
Mm,
And that's true for
love that.
so much, right?
Yes.
In order to we think, I want this thing, I want this experience, I want this body, I want this business model, I want this number in my bank account. And we think, okay, if I hold on really tight to the process, if I hold on really tight to the number, to the number on the scale, to my diet plan or whatever it is, if I hold on really tight, I can make it come true. And that tension actually creates the barrier of allowing the availability of what is. And it seems so terrifying. So I love that you mentioned the word courage, because there's a courageousness in it when you're first learning this skill of allowing, because it's in the allowance that we make ourselves available to something bigger and more. And you alluded to that so beautifully when you said, I thought I was on this path, but then I realized, oh, I actually wanted this. And I think in our
Mm,
weight loss journey, we feel the same way. Like, I thought I wanted a size 4 body. I thought I wanted to fit into my jeans. Oh, but isn't that interesting? All I wanted was to love myself again. And in
mm-hmm.
the journey, we realize, oh, even that can be available to me in size 10, 12 jeans if I
That's right.
allow it. If I allow it. And then suddenly, when you allow it, the weight starts falling off.
That's
And
right.
and that's true in the clients that I work with in healthcare, doctors and dentists. We think success looks a certain way. And in business, we think it looks like a certain number of clients, a certain size of your practice or your business, and that's success. And sometimes you achieve it. Like, if you show up, there's certain very three-dimensional earthly rules. If you consistently show up, certain things will happen. If you put $1 in the bank account every day, that number will grow, right? So there's a lot to be said for discipline and consistency.
Mm,
And when you hold on to it too tightly, now this is the spiritual laws, it actually becomes unavailable to you.
mm,
What you're actually wanting and desiring. I love that word that you used, because we tell ourselves, I need, but really it's a desire. And there's a huge
mm,
honoring in desire, but having clarity over what is underneath that desire. What is it I really am desiring to experience? And then being okay with detaching from the outcome.
mm,
Now we're making ourselves available to even greater abundance, because even if we talk about an energetic standpoint, if you think contraction, holding something tightly, controlling the outcome, controlling your business, controlling your weight loss, controlling your
yes.
outcome, it feels energetically constricted, and we become narrow minded and focused on one outcome, and we lose sight of greater possibility.
Hmm.
And the greater
100%.
possibility, and that's where, exactly, that's where creativity and greater possibility lives. Something that you hadn't even imagined might happen for you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Something better than you could have imagined versus all of our limited thinking of like, first I need to lose weight and then I'm going to meet my man, or first I
Yes.
need to do this and then this. It's like, it could actually happen way sooner if you're actually being present to what is underneath the surface, what's the desire, which I recently heard that desire, the root of that word comes from of the Father, right? That there actually is a wisdom
Ooh.
in what feels, and it's different than like you're saying, like just that, like if you have like a number in the bank account or you have a number on the scale, like, and it's a something that you really like. For me, it's been something that I've had to train myself in learning the difference between like the attached number or the like,
Mhm.
but versus congruent. This feels like really, it's like this slower, like more beautiful pull that feels like it's also in the now of like, this feels true.
Yes. And
Mhm.
it's a feeling.
And it's a
It's a
feeling.
feeling. And that's going back to what you were talking about, getting in touch with your emotions and your body. It's a feeling.
Mhm.
I like the analogy of swimming upstream. You're
Mhm.
paddling, paddling, paddling. Can you get
Yeah.
there? Yes, but it's going to be hard. You're going to have to really force. And what if you just decided to go with the flow and go
That's right.
downstream? And that feeling we know that feeling of, oh, I just feel like I'm in the flow right now. That word is used often, and I think it's a beautiful word. And we can understand that, what that feels like in your body when you're like, oh, when I eat this way, it just feels correct for my body. Or when I choose this form of exercise, like everyone has a different idea of what exercise is right, but when it feels good for your body, what that feels like when it's like, oh, this is what I really enjoy. I'm suddenly finding myself in that flow. And I think we deserve a lot of self-compassion and forgiveness for choosing hard.
Mhm.
I think that it's kind of like a meditative practice, right? We're going to get off track. It's going to happen. That's our human experience. But the idea of, oh, let me come back to what feels good, right? And we find ourselves, oh, I've been, maybe in relationships, I've been realizing that I need my husband to do this and I need him to have this and he needs more, and then you realize, oh, come back to the flow, come back to getting back in touch with what really feels in alignment for you. And that isn't somebody else's definition of success.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, and for anyone listening that's like having resistance to the conversation, because I just spoke to someone who signed up for my program recently. She's a scientist, so like very analytical mind, and she was just saying that her biggest fear of, letting go of the attachment to weight loss was like, I'm going to lose control. It's
Yeah.
just like unconsciously, I'm going to lose control. And of course, like, and dieters, they've been there before where they've like said like, okay, I'm not going to diet anymore. And then they gain so much weight. And it's like,
Yeah.
and, there's a way that you can be supported in how to navigate the flow. So it doesn't just end
Yes.
up being the same old, just weight gain without any growth that you've had in the past. Right.
Right.
That's what I had to do, is like, I had to find, yeah, get a system of support for how can I learn how to do exactly what we're talking about. And it's the access. I loved your metaphor with the mug and squeezing it too tight and it would, eventually break. I also think of the metaphor with like a beach ball, like if you had it underwater, right? You could like go and swim
Yes.
around with it underwater, but eventually your arms are going to get tired and it's going to pop up. Yep. I spoke to somebody in the past and she was saying, her marriage was, she was getting a divorce and she was saying, I look back at it now. And she said the whole time I was trying to control
Mm,
how the relationship would go, control when the engagement would happen, control when the marriage would
mm,
happen, control that he loved me, control. And like, and here's the outcome, right? Like, okay, the balls popped out and it wasn't authentic, right?
yeah.
And so this is the impact. So we can resist it, right? Letting go of it and surrendering. And when we do, like what we can expect is eventually beach ball's going to pop up, mug's going to break, and you're
Yeah.
still going to have to do this foundational work.
Yeah, and I want to give so much honor to all the incredible women, I'm speaking to women because I am a woman, women out there who are high achievers, who are so capable of accomplishing big things. They have big dreams, big desires, they want big lives, and they're capable because it's those incredible, beautiful women, intelligent visionaries, who this often feels most uncomfortable to, because we're so good at controlling. We're so good at controlling the outcome, and we tell ourselves that. So that fear that you're talking about letting go, and what's going to happen? Am I going to end up 700 pounds on the couch, not, immobile, if I just let go, is very real. And the
Yes, it is so
fear
real.
itself is a resistance. So the only option then is to offer compassion and love for the fear. Right? We can't control the fear either. It's almost like we're going down a little rabbit hole here. Like, I can't control, so I get scared, but I can't control the fear either. So that beach ball analogy, which I love that you use, pushing that under the water, when we try to suppress the fear, we do the same thing. So there needs to be a moment of melting down, crying, oh my gosh, this is scary. Oh my gosh, this is hard. Oh my gosh, my body has no evidence that this is safe. There needs to be a release and allow that ball to pop up out of the water. And here's the great thing is, it always comes back down. We get so scared of that ball shooting out of the water. Love this analogy. But it will land again, and then it'll float, and then we'll be back in that place of calm. And we do have evidence of that in our lives. Oh, I thought that divorce was so hard and so bad, and it was so uncomfortable. Those were real feelings. And then things settled. And that's such a beautiful reminder in nature that even though we have tumultuous seasons in our lives, we do return again to a homeostasis of calm. And the only thing that prevents it is when we're preventing it from happening, when we're not allowing the natural evolution of things.
Yeah. And I find that the major thing that's just being suppressed, like you're saying, it's people are scared to feel their feelings.
Always.
Yep.
And that makes so much sense too, because let's take one of my favorite feelings that people are so afraid of is anger.
Yes.
Right? That's one. We're very scared of feeling angry. I don't want to be angry at my daughter. I don't want to be angry. So we suppress it. Makes so much sense, because maybe you grew up in a household where anger wasn't that safe. Maybe there was a bigger human in your life that when they got angry, your safety was at risk. So of course anger would feel uncomfortable. Of course. But the truth is, it's just an emotion. Anger is just an emotion. I like to think of it like a color. And I'm not going to say red because we think of anger as red, but let's call anger teal. We have no emotion to teal. We have no attachment to teal. So what's the difference between teal and turquoise and teal and purple? They're just colors. And that's true for emotions as well. They're not permanent. They're important they're a component of us as a human being. They're inevitable. We can't not exist without teal. We can't exist without anger. So allowing for it and not trying to control the outcome is, once again, the superpower, right? Allowing ourselves to feel all those feelings. And when you do, you suddenly tap into a deeper empowerment from within. Now things really start to get exciting, because you realize, oh, I don't have to control all these things. I can actually create beautiful things, and let it be okay if anger comes up. Let it be okay if I gain a pound. Let it be okay if my bank account drops $100, because I can let go of needing to control all along the way.
Really, the access to the most beautiful life. It's just, I'm so grateful that, my soul obviously came in to gain emotional freedom just in all areas of life. think the last time we talked, you had asked me what I was working on. It was the money transformation, and like so much, like I would say the pendulum is balancing and like feels so amazing. And I'm just like
Mm.
so thankful to myself for doing it. And part of that was letting the beach ball go and dealing with the thoughts and the scary feelings about that and seeing the bank account down and still, but then getting to see like same thing, like, oh wow, even if I let go of the beach ball, like still somehow I'm floating, like
Yeah.
and supported. And same thing, it's like, what if there's nothing wrong with doing the hard way, like you're saying,
Mhm.
and I think it's human, with Abraham Hicks, she talks about you humans like to make it harder for yourselves.
Yeah.
And so I think it's part of the process, you have to experience the burnout almost to an extent before you can actually say, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
Right. Which is what I always say to my clients. Like I got to the end of my rope with dieting and exercise, and I didn't want to be 600 pounds immobile on the couch. So it was like, and that's where hypnosis came in, so it's
Mm.
like, we have to energetically know. And I always say, like, if you still have it in you to do another diet and another quick fix, like do it. You got to just do whatever you feel.
Yes.
It's like, and I'm just letting you know, like, you'll never be able to escape doing this inner stuff at the end of the day if you want total freedom.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
and I think that everybody eventually does.
Yeah.
And talking about Abraham Hicks, some of us, it just takes ending this existence on earth to
Yeah.
experience it. And we know so many people who've lived their whole lives in that disconnection with their true inner power.
Yeah.
And we know so many people who live in the fallacy of thinking, oh, but this is so real. And we have a choice all along the way. We do at any point in time have that choice to block out the noise, slow down, and just get really quiet. And that's really what it takes. It takes that deep breath, that calming moment to just block everything out. And I personally love to practice that on a daily basis to remind myself of that, right? Because we get distracted. We get very human.
Mhm.
Human comes back in again. And that's where the
Right.
self-forgiveness we need to give ourselves that compassion as well.
Absolutely. As we were starting this conversation, I asked you what you were currently working on, and you mentioned about, and you did this a little bit ago about teal and this and
Yes.
that, and you said holding two things at the same time. Would love to hear more about that if you're willing to share.
Oh, yes. Yes, I've been thinking a lot about this in terms of from a spirituality standpoint of allowing for something to be really big and important. So let's say in business, like I've got a big vision, I've got a big, dream here, and allowing for it to be really light and effortless at the same time. So we think big means hard, means going to take up a lot of my time, means I've got to put a sacrifice to make this happen. I don't know enough. I need to find people who know more than I do. And how can I hold that big, beautiful vision and make it really light and easy at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
How can I see this moment of deep sadness and feeling like lack and scarcity and see it as an enormous lesson of growth? How can I hold those two things? How can I be in that moment of feeling really scared or sad and hold at the same time the possibility that this might be the biggest lesson, the most important lesson
Mm-hmm.
at the same time? And we know it to be true. That saying hindsight is 2020. It's only 2020 because we're pulling ourselves out of being the intensity of the emotion in the moment. But the intensity of the emotion in the moment is what colors the importance of the moment. It's like both have to happen, both and have to be available at the same time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how can I realize that nothing matters? Nothing matters at all. Nothing. My bank account doesn't matter. This microphone doesn't matter. Nothing, my relationships don't matter. And everything matters. This
Mm-hmm.
microphone is so important because it's giving me the ability to share this beautiful message. So it matters so deeply. And at the same time, if the microphone was gone, it would all be okay. Not,
Mhm.
so I love that sense of duality, of being
Mhm.
open and available to two completely seemingly opposite truths, both being true at the same time.
I love that. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of Buddhist principle. I'm not
Oh,
well versed, but I know that there is one of
yes.
exactly what you're saying. When I first did timeline therapy and was studying that, that was the first thing that came up that like had me in this moment of I matter and I don't matter all at the same time,
All at the same time.
all at the same time.
I am me. I'm my own unique self, and I am no different from you at the same time. We are one, actually. It's not even that we're the same, we are one. And
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I have a very unique sense of self that keeps me individual.
Mm-hmm.
So, such a beautiful concept because it allows us in any moment to let go of what we want to hold on so tightly. It gives that safety. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
can I let go of this and also know that it's still available to me? And
Absolutely.
I think that in there is where we can find making it safe to let go and trust, to still have the big dreams, to still have the desires, and to let go at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
because we're creating that safety for ourselves.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the journey, so it's like you can have that, intention of whatever it is, weight loss, money, whatever, health, and again letting go of it. And then what if, since that's already done, right, from
Mm-hmm.
manifestation standpoint, it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's done, great,
Mm-hmm.
it's done. And then our only job is like being so present in every moment, and part of that is honoring whenever your emotions could be up
Yes.
and being like, what this moment is calling for is for me to feel the pain, for me to be with these thoughts. Just the other day, I was in my hot tub and it was before a group coaching call. Sometimes I like to, warm up before the call, if you will. And I had all of this like negative, and I was just like, no, the moment is asking for me to feel
Mm.
all of these negative thoughts I'm having. And this, I release the tears. And then the next moment, that's gone, right? Because
Mm.
emotions are energy in motion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was gone. It was not a thing. And then present, had great calls, like, and but it's just honoring each second and like
Yes.
seeing that. And that goes back to what I was saying around like being with everything else that's in the peripheral of life and trusting that like each thing is syncing up to the next thing. But if we're avoiding what is here and now, or we're not aware of what's actually here and now, right? Which again, there's excavation in my experience that initially before you're aware, right? You're still unaware and you're still attached and you're still, going through that hamster wheel of thinking and analyzing and trying and controlling. Um, but once you're beyond that, then it's just the honoring of the now. And now it's not an
Mm.
issue. Now you're not eating. The reason you're eating is because you haven't mastered exactly what we're talking about. And who's to say that you're not going to get to that goal so much faster? In my experience, you do. And
Yep.
that's where you got to trust it, or something better is going to happen. That's actually what's meant for you, because we're not
Yes.
God. We don't know what's actually supposed to happen. We can just honor what's, but I do find that the more uh masterful I get at knowing, like, for example, where right now I'm really feeling that my company um wants to be, and I'm having conversations and I've already manifested so quickly to be hooked on with health insurance companies as
Oh,
being a program that people are doing
yes.
prior to doing Ozempic, that prior to doing, it's like we support people with whatever intentions they want to take, but first learn how to do this process and
Yes,
learn how to
Leslie.
feel your own
So
inner
good.
truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Um, and so it's like I haven't had an abundance of clients coming from the podcast like I normally did, but it's like that could make one's mind crazy that's trying to control. But when I tune in, I'm like, this is what's being manifested right now.
Yeah.
And I'm becoming who I need to be. And I'm
And
watching
making
these
space for those
making space,
new
learning
networking
more about
opportunities.
how my
Mm-hmm.
company actually specifically helps. Like it's all part of it. But if I wasn't tuned in with this
Mm,
truth about what it is, and it's just
mm,
mine, I would, but I still am a human being. So like if I see other people's, like I might have comparison stuff or, oh my gosh, what am I, I'm but then again, bring yourself back. Like you said, I'm tuned in and
Mhm.
I'm seeing like, no, these perfect things are lining up. I see it and I'm
Mm.
curious, and like, so how is that leading to the income goal, right? But it's like, and I'm unattached because God's going to take care of me either way. My only job is to honor what I feel of this knowing and show up for it, you know?
And you touched on such a great tactic, which I think is another superpower, which is curiosity, because that's how we pull
Mhm.
ourselves out. The
Yes.
moment we find ourselves feeling in that, but I'm scared, but I see the bank account going down and I don't see the number. And then the way we can pull ourselves out of that deeply disempowering energetic state, because we know the higher energetic state is where the magic lies. One way to do that is curiosity. What if I got really interested? And in a moment, like you know what that feels like. The curiosity feels light. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel trapped. It doesn't feel controlling. It feels spacious. And the curiosity brings us right back up into a higher energetic state where
Mhm.
now we can allow again, where we can
Yes.
release and surrender. Yeah.
Yes. And this is why those like initial, I'm sure you have calls like this with your clients, but like the initial consultations that we'll have with people, it's like they come in and it's like, I want weight loss. Okay. Say we could wave a magic wand and have any relationship that you want with food, body,
Mhm.
and weight, what it be? And it's like people are like, I just don't want to have the drama about food anymore. Like, I
Yeah.
just want to be present with my family. And like for me, it was like, and it takes a quieting. It takes, because if we're not right, slowing down and asking these actual questions, your brain is
Yes.
going to keep saying weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, size four, size four. It's going to keep doing that
Yeah.
unless you have that conversation and you actually quiet down. It's like, this is actually what I want. Okay, well, guess what? When you're actually honest about what it is that you actually want, you manifest it super fast.
Like this. I know. Isn't
So
it so
fast.
interesting when you have the
Yes.
clarity? In fact,
Yes.
almost instantly. It's like,
Instantly.
wow,
Yes.
it's available to me right now.
Yes.
And you alluded to this in the beginning of the podcast. You were talking about I'll be happy when, right? I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
It's that same thing. We keep delaying what we want,
Yes.
thinking it's dependent on something else first. And that
Yes.
math is backwards.
That's
It's
right.
it's actually the other way around. What you
Mhm.
want is available to you right now. Feel that, live that, know that as if it's already done. And then all the other things in the middle will come to you. I know Wayne Dyer wrote that beautiful book. Um, now I'm gonna butcher the title.
Mm,
You have to believe it before you see it. We think we have to
yeah,
see it before we believe it, and it's actually the opposite. We have to allow for believing in something that doesn't yet exist in order for it to manifest.
that's right.
Yeah.
And be so brutally honest about what it is. Like, consider, I always say to people, you're always getting what you want right now. It's just whether or not you're aware that that's actually what you want.
Absolutely. We are all constantly creating our
Yes.
own reality every
Yes.
second of the day. And that's where I get excited about curiosity. When something happens, I think, ooh, isn't this interesting? How
Mhm.
have I manifested this interesting thing right here, right now? I had a
Mhm.
very interesting thing happen to me this week where four different people came to me asking me for money. And I'm talking about
Mm.
big numbers. One person
Wow.
asked for $8,000, one person asked for $500,000 alone.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, isn't this interesting? Isn't it fascinating? Somewhere I'm manifesting this. And
Yeah.
I'm, instead of feeling, oh, woe is me. People are taking advantage of me. Everybody wants a piece of me. Where am I not asserting my authority?
Mm.
We can get really low and down about it, or we can ask curiosity to help us pull us right back up and start getting really curious because it's true. We're creating our own reality at every single moment of our lives.
Mhm.
This conversation was created from a space of our intention, our connecting over the summer, and now reconnecting. And it's beautiful. That was out of a place of intention, clarity over our desires. But sometimes we're creating without that awareness, like you're saying, and getting super curious about it, and then blocking out all the noise and the stories and the attachment and the narratives, and allowing ourselves with clarity to see, oh, what am I asking for? Because I am creating this beautiful thing.
Yes. Yeah. Well, a major piece, and unfortunately, we'll have to wrap up in just a couple minutes. Again, this is why we're here. This is where you can trust the energy, of like in flow state with people. It's like you just need to trust the energy, and this is why we're here. But I wasn't able to stay consistent on my old diet that I was following for like multiple years that kept me very low weight and all the things. And then, that's where people will be like, why can't I stay consistent anymore? Why can't I get motivated? Why can't I stay on track? I used to be able to. It's like, well, consider that your inner desires have changed, or your inner, right, of what this chapter is about. And when I peeled back the layers, it was like, number one thing that happened, my beliefs changed. I stopped believing that I was a food addict, which in the past, that belief is what kept me so rigid. But I met someone who got over bulimia and anorexia, like very severe stuff, and had a completely healthy relationship with food, which was against what the program I was following was saying. It was saying it was impossible, right? So so my brain's like, okay, so now I see it's possible. So now I'm not going to buy into this belief as much anymore. So of course, if my belief has shifted, I'm not going to follow this the same way.
Your behavior changes. When the belief changes, the behavior changes.
Exactly. Then the second thing, I did a vision boarding thing, and I drew this picture of a hamburger, and I was like, I just want to be able to enjoy this freaking hamburger and move on. And I want to be around other people who don't judge each other about the way they're eating, and just like live your damn life. Right. So then as soon as I got clear on that, it was like, okay, great. Well, now I know that to feel supported, I need to get into a different coaching program, because we are happier when our brains are directed in one direction or whatever, that supports me with this new thing that I desire. Right. That's going to allow me to be successful with this way of learning how to intuitively eat and to heal my relationship with food, body, and weight for good. And then peace and happiness comes in. Right. But if I didn't slow down and figure that out, I would have been beating myself up like people do all the way to the grave about why can't I? And it's like, we're missing out on what else could you create if you actually just like owned where you're at now and got present to what this actual chapter is, without the suffering, without the stress, without the burnout.
Yeah. The permission. It's that it comes right back to slowing down and permission. That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
And go. And and it's scary. Like, get support though, like for anyone listening, like I desire that kind of support, because it doesn't feel good if I've never done that before, and it's a new desire and it's a new pathway. Like, I want to set myself up to be successful. And so where's the coach that has that? Right? Where's the community of people that has that? What's the
component?
system?
That's the component of this human experience. We're here together.
That's
together. We're not meant to do this on our own. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I
love it.
Conversation.
So much fun.
How can people find out more about what you do? Please share.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You can find me on the Business of Happiness podcast or at thebizofhappiness.com.
Love it. Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Check her out. You do such great work, and I'm sure we'll come back again and keep dancing together, because this is fun.
So much fun. Thank you, Leslie.
Awesome. If you are serious about taking action on your struggle with food, body, and weight, then this is for you. Go ahead and text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483. Immediately after texting that number, you will get access to our free training that will tell you why you can't figure the food, body, and weight thing out, why you can't keep weight off even after you've been successful in the past, and how to actually overcome it, including a mini hypnosis session at the end. Don't miss out. Text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483.